We're going to talk about some common landscape trees. I see we got a Ginkgo behind us.
Yeah, this is one of the trees that if I'm giving an arboretum tour, if I'm showing people around, I always have to stop by here because we have a really unique specimen here. Our tree was planted in the 1950s and then it got mowed over in the 1960s. And so instead of dying like most of the time that would happen, it resprouted into a bunch of different trunks. And so it looks like it's a super ancient tree, but it's not even 100 years old.
Wow.
But speaking of ancient trees, I like this because it is such a unique tree. It is one of the most ancient species that is still alive today. It's a 200 million year old species.
That's old.
Yeah. And it's got a very unique fan-shaped leaf. It's a great one for homeowners to plant because it's completely like resistant to pests and diseases. They don't encounter a lot of problems, and they're really good in urban environments. So they're planted a lot of times in cities, and can be a great street tree. They're not gonna struggle with watering or anything like that. And they have beautiful fall color.
I was gonna ask you about that.
So if you planted one in your yard, it would just have one trunk usually. But it'd be a very reliable, slow growing tree that would last a long, long time.
Right. So again, no major diseases, no major pests, don't have to worry about fertilizing or anything like that?
I mean, any tree that you newly plant would benefit from a little bit of fertilizer every year to speed that growth up, but only a regular amount. It's not gonna be bothered by like pollution or drought once it's established. So, yeah.
And it does have winter inches. I do like the leaves in the wintertime.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful fall foliage colors, bright gold. You can see it from a mile away. Yep.
All right, let's go see the next tree.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, Camille, tell us a little bit about this tree.
So this is an American Yellowwood. It's a tree native to the southeast that I'm a big fan of. I planted this one about 2 years ago. It was about this tall when I planted it, and so it's grown quite a bit, almost doubled in size in 2 years. It's one of my favorite trees because it produces fragrant white flowers in the spring, and it'll kind of alternate years on having a really big bloom year. And so whenever it is in bloom, it puts on quite a show that's very fragrant and just really enjoyable. Tons of bees visiting it.
So it attracts the pollinators?
Yeah, it gets its name from yellow heartwood. So if you cut into it, you'll see right in the middle of the wood is yellow. But it grows to be about 30 to 50 feet tall. It can get bigger, but that's about average. And so it's a great plant to put at a home. It has beautiful fall color. But it does need pruning when it's young if you want it to grow correctly. It often branches. If you plant a young one like mine, you'll want to come in and take off all of these so that you have one strong leader. You would want to take this off, and prune this upright so that you have one strong trunk. Because it's not the strongest type of wood out there, so it will break if you leave forks in it. But you prune it in the summertime, and if you train it up, it'll grow into a nice, big, strong tree, and you only have to do that while it's young. It might be harder to find it at the local nurseries. You would want to ask them for American Yellowwood specifically, and they should be able to get one without much difficulty if you ask for it. Or you can look online and buy it from a native nursery.
I think that's good. You got them at pollinators, so I think they're fine. I think they'll love it. So let's go see the next tree.
Okay, it's right over here.
Okay. All right, Camille, who do you have behind us?
This is a black gum or black Tupelo. It's a wonderful native tree that I wish we would see more of, honestly.
Really?
It's not all that commonly planted, but I think it should be. It's one of like a landscaper's favorite because it has the most amazing fall color. It won't just be one color. Even on one branch, it can show like red, orange, yellow, and even purple.
Oh, really?
It's really known to hold on to that red color for longer than a lot. You can see even the emerging new growth has a beautiful color to it. So it's just a really attractive, fast-growing tree, native to our landscape, and it's an amazing wildlife tree. So it'll make a lot of flowers that you wouldn't notice them, but the pollinators are all over them. And then it makes these little bluish-black berries that the birds and the squirrels, small animals, really need. It's like great for biodiversity and feeds a lot of different animals in your yard without you even thinking about it. So it's just a really beneficial tree to plant in your yard. It's also a really strong tree. It doesn't split. It's got very, very hard wood, and so it's a very reliable, long-lived tree in the landscape.
Now, how fast does it grow? Because I think you told me this tree is, 7 or 8 years old?
Yeah, so this tree is older than that because it had a few years on it when it was planted, but we planted a pretty small circumference trunk 7 years ago, and it's grown this big, and it looks way older than a tree you planted 7 years ago. So it's a fast-growing tree. If you want something that'll be have some good size on it quickly, it's a great one to pick.
How tall will it get?
It'll be 30 to 40 feet of mature size.
Okay, so I guess we'll move over to the next tree, right?
All right, let's go.
All right.
All right, Chris, here's another tree I'm really excited about.
Oh, okay.
It's an Osage Orange. They're known for their extremely hard wood. It has thorns.
Yeah, I can see the little thorns on there.
They used to use these on old farms as hedgerows, so they would plant them close together, and because of the hard wood and the thorns and their really strong nature, they made an impenetrable hedgerow, and you could use it to keep in horses.
I can believe that.
And so they make these big things. They actually used to call them horse apples or Osage oranges. They're huge. So we found one that would make those fruit on purpose. They're a bit messy, but we wanted to have it as a teaching device so that we could tell people about this cool tree.
Sure. So how old is the tree and how tall does it get?
I would have to guess that our tree is about 4 or 5 years old. We found a pretty big one in the woods. And I don't think that it gets very tall. It kind of has like a shrubby, bushy nature, and we're going to train it to have like one strong trunk. But it'll probably top out around 30 feet max.
Okay. So if a homeowner wanted to purchase this tree or plant this tree, what would you tell them?
I would say contact your local nursery and ask them to order one for you. Usually your local nurseries can ask their suppliers where to get one and find something like this for you. It's not that rare, but it's not that common for them to just sell without you asking for it.
Okay. Yeah, and tell them be careful of the thorns.
Yep.
They might bite you.
Yeah, don't climb this tree.
Yeah, don't climb it. I like that. All right, let's go see the next one.
All right, it's right over here. All right, here's another tree I'm really excited about.
Ah, good.
We planted this 2 years ago, and I actually relocated this one this spring because I didn't like where I had planted it originally.
Okay.
I planted this sourwood tree because I saw one at the Memphis Botanic Garden, and I was so inspired by theirs. And it's just a beautiful layered branch tree, and I saw it in the fall when the fall color really just struck me. It was a deep red, almost purple. It was so deep. And so I was just inspired by this native tree. I hadn't really seen it anywhere, and so I wanted to plant 2 out here, one in the sun and one in the shade, so that I could advise homeowners down the road on what to do with theirs and how to grow them best.
Okay. So what have you found out so far?
Well, it's growing its blooms right now, so I know that they bloom in the summertime, and it's actually prized for the honey that those blooms make in Appalachia. It is doing equally well in the sun and shade. I have to water this one more. That's just the only advice that I've read. If you plant it in the sun, it'll have better fall color, but you do have to keep it watered more often in the summertime especially.
Oh yeah, that makes sense to me. So how tall will it get?
So I'm expecting ours to grow about 25 feet tall. In theory, it could grow up to 50 feet tall, but I'd be really surprised if it went over 30.
Sure. So thank you, Camille. So
Yeah,
again, these
you.
are common landscape trees, right?
Yeah, trees I highly recommend adding to your landscape if you want some interesting, beautiful trees around your yard.
Camille recommends them, so plant them. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you.
All right.